Hi friends, Darian here with Pike Outside. I'm here again for another video in which I would like to show you my CRKT Woods Chogan. This is an RMJ design. He's a reputable knife maker and I think does a lot of other kind of tactical tools, knives and tomahawks and the like. He designed this for CRKT, which stands for Columbia River Knife and Tool. And what I want to do with this is do a few minor modifications, something that most of you all could do at home yourselves, and just get this in better working order. The things that I'm thinking about are, first and foremost, improve this blade here. It is not really serviceable yet. It's hard to tell on camera, but that is not going to cut anything. It's just not sharp. But it's good steel, 1055 steel, 1055 carbon steel. And so I'm going to take it to my file down in my workroom and sharpen it up a little bit and come back with my little puck and spend some time with it there, and then it should be ready to go, sharp enough for my purposes. The next thing I want to do is I would like to take the poly off this handle. It's a good piece of Tennessee hickory. It's really pretty. I like the burnishing on it, but I want to get that poly off there. I don't think that's ultimately what I want on there. I think what I want is going to be some linseed oil or boiled linseed oil. And then I'm going to need to make a sheath for the cutting edge here, as well as maybe a little bit of an overstrike collar. And that should be it. Other than that, I hope this thing will be ready to go. Those are the projects I'm going to start out with. This is going to take me a few evenings to complete, so let's get started. We'll start with the sharpening process, and I'll show you a little bit of that. So before we start the sharpening process, I'm sure some of you are going to want to see what is included in the box. So let's take a look at that. This is the box that the CRKT Woods Chogan Tomahawk comes in. This is how it came to me from Amazon, from which I bought it for, just a little north of $35, I believe. Alright, so we've got the hickory handle. They tell me it's Tennessee hickory. It's very well burnished and covered in a pretty thick layer of poly. In fact, you can kind of see, if you look closely there, a little bump of dried poly. And then here is the hawk head itself. Let's take a look at that. So you'll notice no sheath or scabbard or any sort of blade protector other than this little piece of silicone. Let's take that off and see what is underneath here. Okay. That is the hawk head. Woods Chogan, RMJ design, 1055 carbon steel. And then it says 2730. And then, of course, CRKT, Columbia River Knife and Tool. Feeling this edge, it is mighty, mighty dull. Very, very dull. But other than that, the finish looks good on this. It's good looking little hawk. I think instinctively people would think this would be the bottom. That's the top. The big fat end, that's to keep it from sliding off this direction, right? It's going to slide on just like so. And that's what it'll look like. You gotta bang it a couple times into a hard surface and it just seats itself. Okay. And then other than that, just some marketing material and a little installation instruction for seating the head. All right. That's that. I've got the head of the Chogan, just the head, clamped to my work surface here. This is not a great work surface. There's some wiggle to it. But this is what I have, and it'll work. I've used this for sharpening axes before. I've got a little file here that's got kind of the cross-hatched teeth. It cuts both ways, and I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's going to be a little bit more aggressive than a file that just cuts one way. So here, that's the difference. You can kind of see it slanting just one direction, whereas this literally has teeth going both directions. So I'm going to start there and take off more material. When I think I'm getting closer, I might switch to this less aggressive file. One other thing I would tell you is to not be afraid to put on gloves, okay? I might not start with these gloves, but eventually this is going to get so sharp that it'll be dangerous to not wear gloves. And believe you me, I have cut myself doing this before on at least one occasion, maybe twice, sharpening an axe head like this. And I think it's because you're pushing up against it like that and kind of at an angle, and you just kind of bump this edge and it'll get knife sharp. So watch out for that. Okay, let's give it a go here. Let's start without gloves. It's just not that sharp yet. I'm not an expert on this, but I just kind of feel it out. You kind of want to not totally re-profile it, but you're just taking off, at first you're just taking off kind of a protective layer of, I don't know what it is, probably poly, honestly. Some sort of film that they put on the metal in order to protect it, keep it from corroding. And then you'll start to feel it biting into the wood. And you can almost see that there. I don't know if you're seeing that on the film, but I'm seeing that. Starting to bite in. I'm no expert by any means. But this has worked for me. I've sharpened axes this way before, and it's a good way to start when you just have kind of a raw product that really needs some love. Yeah. Eventually you have to switch to something finer, like a little axe puck. Usually will get you sharp enough for everyday purposes. I see guys honing their axes with, you know, whetstones or whatnot, and I think that's probably unnecessary for most people. It's probably just a show thing to make them just glimmer. Gleam and glimmer. So the grind is supposedly convex, just meaning that it's got a little bit of a curve to it. And so that means it's not going to be a perfectly flat, you know, cut. You're kind of moving with it. So you just kind of got to feel that out. Alright, it's getting a little sharper, so I think I actually will put on my gloves here. I don't really want to repeat. You lose a little bit of dexterity with gloves, but not a big deal. Let's go ahead and flip it over and give the other side some love in here. Well, I should have been doing this all along. I've got these, I think they're Kevlar reinforced gloves. They're cut resistant, and I use them for carving. I should have been using that instead of those insulated work gloves, but anyway, same idea. These just give me a little bit more dexterity. So that's all I'm going to do. Just kind of a circular motion there. Remember, again, that it's kind of a convex grind versus a flat grind. So you can't deal with this the way you would with your Scandi knife or whatnot. Which I believe Scandi knives have a flat grind. Correct me if I'm wrong. switching to the other side, and notice that there are two sides on my puck too. That's the grittier side for the rougher first stage, and that's the finer side for the finer second stage. I think that'll do it. It's not the sharpest axe I've ever run across, but it's pretty sharp. Let's test it out. Okay, I've got this piece of paper. Let's see what it does. That worked pretty good. Oh, just tearing it now. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, it's not working great. I've seen much sharper. But again, this is an axe, not a knife. And so I think it will work for my purposes. Whew. Yeah.